Well, well, hi there. Let me switch my microphone over to the right one. All right, hi everybody. Um, I just had to go live. I got a very insulting email a few minutes ago, and I wrote a response, and I've been thinking about it, and I just thought I would go live to address it because maybe some other people feel the same way about this issue as the author of this article. I am not sure whether this person is a young person or an older person or where they're coming from exactly politically or all that. But I just wanted to, I'm going to read you the email and I'm going to read my response and share a few thoughts. So a few years ago, back in July of 2017, so about 6 years ago, I wrote an article, a blog post titled "Should School Theater Programs Get a Free Pass?" in which I was responding to a blog post by another blogger who I respect, and I'm trying to remember who that was at this moment. Let me look it up real quickly. The author of that is Chris Peterson, who was talking about how the theater industry needs to start awarding free theater licensing to low-income schools. And I took issue with the idea that some schools should get a free pass because they don't have a budget. And really my argument is, well, they should be given more of a budget for these kinds of things. But this author who wrote me this email today, I just wanted to share the email and give my further response. So this person says, and this is a person whose name appears to be Danny something. I'm not going to go into it any further than that. But this person says, I just read your absolutely disgusting article on art schools paying to perform plays. And it's obvious you are nowhere near an artist and are truly a capitalist vampire. Vampire, ooh, I want to suck your blood. Anyway, I'm mocking. Okay. How dare you, he or she goes on, compare paying for a building to paying for a script? I basically said, look, how remedial are you, this person? I basically said in my blog post, look, you pay the architect who designs the building before you build the building. You should pay the architect of the play, the playwright, and so on. So I guess I'm a capitalist vampire. How dare you compare paying for a building to paying for a script? A building is used for a minimum of 30 years. How is it at any comparison to doing 3 to 4 plays a year and having to pay over $300 for each? To which I say, well, that doesn't strike me as a very big number, actually. And schools do generally get a pretty good break on royalty rates and things. Anyway, how is that a comparison? If it were not for school arts programs, 80% of these plays would not be seen or heard by the majority. It's through schools that plays are able to be given the light that they deserve. I'm not arguing that at all. And there it is. Also, every time a play is performed at a school, there's not always a charge. Just like there's limited funds for arts program, many of the families that come into these programs are economically struggling, so they shouldn't have the opportunity to experience theater because they can't afford a ticket to every performance. Well, I think, again, that's a question of how theater is funded in the schools and not necessarily, not necessarily an issue about whether they should charge ticket prices. That's between the school and the audience. And frankly, if they can't charge for tickets, then maybe they need to find another way to pay for the performances or do fewer shows or who knows what. And I don't love that idea either, by the way. Anyway, it's even more deplorable of you, this author says, to even mention the fact that you know how much arts funding is being depleted every year, and yet your rebuttal is to compare apples to oranges. Well, I don't think that's actually what I did. My rebuttal was to say, no, we shouldn't be looking just for ways to avoid paying for the art we consume. We ought to encourage the search for ways to fund it. And I'm saying arts education should also involve a discussion and an experience for students of how you pay for the art that you use and build on and so on. And in the article, I say, look, when you build a building, you pay the architects. When you teach classes, you have to have a building. You pay for those things. You pay the teachers and so on. And I said the raw materials the play is the raw materials for constructing that particular learning experience. And I sort of say, look, the books, the lab equipment, the supplies that you use in schools involve costs, and the play should be a cost as well. Anyway, so this author says, this email writer says, do math teachers charge for using textbooks? Do social studies teachers get to charge for teaching history? We're using the tools necessary to teach drama, which are scripts, which we do pay for, and yet we have to pay royalties on top of that for a class performance. That's a joke. Well, actually, you don't have to pay royalties for a class performance. It's when you perform to the public that you have to pay. All you're doing is supporting restricting access to material that will lead to programs being closed and less interest in theater. Congratulations, you are a part of the worst thing to happen to theater. So I wrote my response, and I'll just share that with you as well, because I feel like I answered it appropriately. Thank you for your comments and thoughts. Despite your harsh tone, it's instructive to understand where some people are coming from. I'm curious, do you work for free? I'm a true lover of the theater, and I wish it were possible for it all to be free for all who want it. But like everyone else, playwrights, composers, and lyricists have to eat. How, I ask you, can you expect people to do the work of creating art if you're unwilling to pay modest sums to use that art? Authors don't get rich from the royalties they receive from schools and amateur theaters, but it's only fair that they make a living wage, and sadly, most don't even earn that. A $300 license fee or royalty for the right to give performances of a work that might have taken the authors several years to create, honestly, that sounds rather small to me. Now, you ask whether math teachers charge for using textbooks. Yes, math teachers receive salaries, and the publishers and authors of the textbooks do charge for them, often hundreds of dollars per copy, at least for college textbooks. Social studies teachers, they do get paid for teaching history. Art and craft classes do also have to pay for the supplies that they use. Do you really think it's all provided for free? Also, you should know that public school in-classroom instruction using plays and music is mostly exempt from most royalty requirements. But performances to members of the public are a different story. Drama programs routinely pay those teachers. They pay for the scenery, the costumes, the electricity to run the lights and sound. Why shouldn't they also budget for the raw material that is the foundation of the performance in the first place? I go on to say we can certainly disagree on these things, but perhaps words like horrendous and disgusting actually make your arguments less effective. So I am curious about your thoughts. I'd love to hear what you think. I don't disagree entirely with the blog post I was responding to. I get that some school programs are woefully underfunded and that they are in communities where the families don't have the money to pay for tickets to see the show. I get it. And I guess my point of view on this is that's not an excuse for taking away payments to the creatives who made the things that they're using to put on these shows, to do the teaching. The right thing to do is that we should be looking for ways to fund art. Artists need to be able to earn from their work. Arts education is important, and those who are learning about the arts also should learn that art costs. It doesn't just appear mystically out of thin air, and these authors need to feed, clothe, and shelter their families, and they should be paid for that work. And after all, if they aren't receiving reasonable money for doing the work they do, they don't have much incentive to do it other than the creative spark itself. So I'm reopening the question. Curious, what do you think about this? And I'm actually going to paste hi Dave. I'm going to paste the link to my my blog post in the comments, and I would love to know other people's thoughts. So hop in and put a comment in this chat if you like, and let me know your thoughts. I'm a theater lover, and I do wish it could all be absolutely free. I do wish that in those underserved communities, the low-income schools could put on their plays and get the funding they need. And maybe we should come up with some kind of, I don't know, scholarship programs for the programs that need the extra leg up. a few hundred or a few $1,000s in the budget of a play, even school shows. I know from experience what it costs to put on that show, and the royalties to the author are a drop in that bucket. They really are. It's small. So, yeah, a few $100s is nothing. Even a few $1,000s, yeah, it adds up. It's hard to justify or fund, but it is the cost of doing business, as any business has a cost. I think we need to continue to look hard at arts funding for education. My son is actually it's summertime, so he's at a camp right now. It's a STEAM camp, I should say. And I'm glad to see that this program, at least, is adding the word arts to that construction. STEM, of course, stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And then you add an A to make it STEAM. That's the addition of arts. And I think it does our kids a disservice not to be funding all of those things as part of our educations. Because after all, art influences how we look at the world. It influences society. And those who know me know, my whole reason for being really is advancement of the arts. I firmly believe that creators of all kinds, theater, painters, sculptors, filmmakers, podcasters, all need more incentive to do the work that they do. And they need to be given as much encouragement of sharing new ideas, because these things are essentially the public discourse, just like literature, just like, political discourse too, right? We ought to have more voices sharing more ideas more of the time. And as unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your perspective, we live in a capitalist economy. We live in an economy. Look, nothing is free. As much as we wish it were, it isn't, and we need to just honor that and respect it. And it needs to trickle down all the way to the creators, the stuff who originate the material that leads us to share these ideas. They need to be paid. They need to receive money so they can continue doing that. And they don't have to just come home at the end of a long day waiting tables, exhausted and unable to have any more creative output. We need to let them earn from doing this important work. So, am I horrendous because I think that artists should be paid? Am I horrendous because I think that even schools should pay for the raw materials that they use to create experiences for the students? And again, we can leave aside the in-classroom stuff, where I think that there's a reasonable argument that if you want to teach a play in your classroom, I think go ahead. Yeah, you have to buy copies of the script, a few dollars a copy, or maybe it's more than that even, right? That's just like buying the textbooks. The difference is we don't go up on stage and perform math equations for audiences for whom we charge tickets. So, okay, if you're not charging tickets, you tell the publishers that, and they give you a discount. They really do. But if you're going to charge even $5 a performance, $5 a ticket or something like that for people to come and see the school play, well, I think that some portion of that $5 ticket ought to go to pay for the raw materials, the play. Just like it goes to pay for the lights and the sound and the electricity and the sets and the costumes and the efforts of the directors and the choreographers and sometimes the paid technicians that help make the whole thing possible, right? So let's fund arts better. That's the answer. So this is the horrendous Gordon Firemark signing off. I'll see you again soon, I hope. Actually, later this afternoon, I'm doing another one of these lives. But I just wanted to respond to that publicly and get your thoughts. Share. I look forward to hearing your comments. Have a good day.